There are moments that are very ordinary, so small they seem unworthy of notice. But if you pause for just a second, you realize your body is doing something remarkably intelligent. Take a burp. For example, you're drinking a carbonated drink, talking a bit too fast, and then burp a sound that makes many people feel embarrassed. But if you look inside, this isn't bad manners. It's biology at work. Every time you eat in a hurry, swallow quickly, or drink something fizzy, air slips into your stomach along with the food and liquid. That air doesn't belong there. When enough pressure builds up, the brain detects the abnormal tension and gives the order to open the escape valve. The stomach contracts. The esophageal sphincter relaxes for a split second. The air is pushed back up and released. Relief. Lighter, more comfortable. A burp is, in fact, the body saving itself from discomfort. Then there's eating. Something you do every day. You put a piece of bread into your mouth and think the job is done. For your body, it has only just begun. Teeth grind. Saliva softens. The esophagus pushes food downward in rhythmic muscular waves. In the stomach, food is kneaded, squeezed, and mixed with acid and enzymes until it's no longer a bite, but a liquid mixture. From there, it moves into the small intestine where millions of tiny villi quietly absorb nutrients into the bloodstream, feeding every cell in your body. What remains moves on. Water is reabsorbed in the large intestine, and the body silently clears away what it no longer needs. There is no applause. But every meal is a massive biological assembly line working flawlessly. Even when you sleep, your body and brain never truly rest. Some nights, you have very strange dreams, sometimes nightmares. You wake up with your heart racing, cold sweat on your skin, wondering, why did I dream that inside the brain? Dreams are built from memories, emotions, and worries you carry through the day. When stress, fear, or tension isn't fully released, the brain mixes them into dreams. Familiar images become distorted. Safety turns into threat. Yet here's the paradox. Nightmares are not enemies. They are the brain's way of rehearsing danger, learning how to stay alert and survive better. When you look at all of this burping, digestion, dreams at night, one truth becomes clear. Your body does nothing without reason. Reactions that seem embarrassing, annoying, or frightening are actually protective systems shaped by millions of years of evolution. Once you understand this, you start treating your body differently. Less blame, less disregard, and a little more respect for the small signals you experience every day, because very often, that is your body trying to talk to you. When you live long enough with your own body, you begin to notice something strange. The body never bothers you without a reason. It only becomes loud when you've ignored it for too long. Science calls this a compensatory mechanism. When a system is forced to operate out of rhythm for an extended period, it looks for ways to send stronger signals. At first, the signs are subtle: mild bloating, more frequent burping, eating quickly but never feeling deeply full. Then come sleep problems, restless dreams, waking up tired even after enough hours. And finally, if the signals are still ignored, they turn uncomfortable stomach pain, digestive disorders, anxiety, panic during sleep. Take a very ordinary example: eating in a rush. When you eat while stressed, the brain is in fight or flight mode. In that state, digestion is not a priority. Stomach acid is released less efficiently. Intestinal movements become irregular, and more air is swallowed. The result is bloating, constant burping, discomfort after meals, not because the food is bad, but because the context in which you eat is wrong. Or consider carbonated drinks. Chemically, carbon dioxide dissolved in liquid is released when it enters the warm environment of the stomach. Increased pressure is inevitable. Burping here is not random. It is a controlled neural reflex, coordinated by the brain. The body chooses to release gas early rather than allow prolonged stomach stretching that can cause pain and reflux. Sleep works the same way. The brain doesn't create nightmares for no reason. When, during the day, you suppress emotions, ignore stress, or live in a constant state of alertness, the brain's emotional centers remain active while you sleep. Dreams become a psychological cleanup process. Nightmares appear when there is simply too much mental trash. The brain uses intense imagery to force your attention. In other words, the brain isn't trying to scare you, it's trying to protect you. The key insight here is this: many of the problems we label as disorders actually begin with a misaligned lifestyle. Eating faster than your digestion can handle, using coffee to mask exhaustion, staying up late to compensate for work, using your phone to avoid emotions. The body keeps adapting, but the cost is increasingly harsh signals. Modern science does not reject medication or medical intervention. But science is also very clear: no pill can replace biological rhythm. There is no quick fix for a system that has been forced out of sync for a long time. When you start eating a little slower, sleeping a little earlier, and listening to the body's small reactions instead of silencing them, something interesting happens. The body becomes calmer, less burping, easier digestion, deeper sleep, not because you fixed it, but because you stopped fighting it. And perhaps that is the most important insight. Science and everyday life both agree on your body doesn't need to be controlled more. It needs to be listened to sooner. There is a truth that very few health videos say out loud. Because it simply doesn't sell fear fast enough, the human body is not as fragile as we think. It endures extremely well. Too well. And that is exactly what makes it dangerous. Because as long as you can endure, you assume you're fine. Science calls this the adaptation threshold. The nervous system, the digestive system, and stress hormones all have the ability to tolerate temporarily. You sleep less for a few days, and nothing seems wrong. You eat in a rush for a few meals, and you don't collapse. You drink more coffee, and still get the work done. But each time, the body records a very small debt. So small, you don't notice it. Until one day, everything overflows at once. That's when you find yourself losing your appetite, even when eating the right food. Sleeping without depth, despite enough hours. Feeling tired for no clear reason. And especially noticing strange signals appearing more often. Constant burping, a bloated abdomen, a racing heart when lying down, excessive dreaming, waking up feeling as if you never slept. Not because you are weak, but because the body has been bracing itself for too long. If you're watching this video and see yourself in it, I want you to understand something important. Your body is not betraying you. It's simply switching from whispering to speaking louder. And when it speaks loudly, many people mistake that for illness, then rush to silence the voice instead of asking, "What have I been ignoring?" Take a very small example, a burp after a meal. For many people, it's embarrassing, but biologically, it's a sign that the digestive system is trying to release pressure. When you slow down, sit still, and chew more thoroughly, the frequency of burping drops noticeably. No medication, no tricks, just the right rhythm. or considered nightmares. Many people fear them, but few realize this. People who dream a lot are often people whose brains are still working well. The brain is still processing, organizing, testing scenarios. The danger isn't in dreaming too much, it's in not dreaming at all. When the brain is so exhausted, it no longer has enough energy to process emotions. What do all these phenomena have in common? They don't come to destroy you, they come to negotiate. The body always negotiates before it rebels. It asks you to slow down through small signals. When those signals aren't heard, it has no choice but to raise the volume, and that's when everything starts getting medical names. If you want your body to remain well-behaved, the only way isn't more control, but earlier cooperation. Eat when you eat, sleep when you sleep, rest when you're tired. These sound simple, but in a world that constantly pushes you to go faster, they become acts of rebellion. And perhaps what keeps many people watching until the end of this video isn't the information, but a very familiar feeling finally. Someone is explaining my body in a way that doesn't make me feel guilty. Your body isn't demanding perfection. It's simply waiting for you to come back to live with it, instead of living on top of it. There is a very interesting intersection between science and everyday life that the longer I study, the more convinced I become of this. Most modern health problems don't come from a lack of knowledge, but from living out of rhythm for too long. Human biology was designed for a much slower world than the one we live in now. The digestive system needs a relaxed state to function smoothly. The nervous system needs moments of doing nothing to recalibrate itself. The brain needs deep sleep to clear information and emotions. Modern life does the opposite, eating while scrolling on a phone, sleeping with bright screens, waking up to urgent alarms, and using stimulants to compensate for exhaustion. When you eat under stress, blood is prioritized for muscles and the brain's stress processing centers, not for the stomach. This reduces digestive enzyme secretion, increases swallowed air, and causes food to linger longer in the gut. Science calls this stress-induced digestive inhibition. You feel it clearly: heaviness after meals, bloating, frequent burping. Yet medical tests show nothing wrong. Similarly, when you live in a prolonged state of alertness, cortisol levels stay high. High cortisol helps you run in the short term, but over time, it makes sleep shallower, increases dreaming, and causes more nighttime awakenings. The brain stays active but never truly rests. You wake up feeling tired despite enough hours of sleep, not because you didn't sleep enough, but because you didn't get enough deep sleep. The very practical insight here is this: the body doesn't distinguish between psychological stress and survival stress. To it, deadlines, financial pressure, and emotional anxiety are all treated as threats. And when you live too long in danger mode, systems that aren't essential for immediate survival, like digestion, recovery, and rest, get pushed to the background. What's unfortunate is that many people only start listening to their bodies once they're already screaming through pain, disorders, or chronic insomnia. Yet science shows that small adjustments made early are far more effective than late interventions. Eating 10 minutes slower, sitting calmly after meals instead of rushing to stand up, reducing light exposure 30 minutes before sleep, going to bed when you feel sleepy, not when you've finished everything. None of these are sophisticated tricks, but they give the body back its most precious resource, the right timing. And when timing is respected, the body does the rest on its own. Less burping, a lighter stomach, gentler dreams. You don't need to try hard to live healthy. You just need to stop living against your biology. If there's one thing I want viewers to take away from this video, it's this: You don't need to become a perfect version of yourself to be healthier. You just need to become a version that is listening. Your body has worked its entire life to keep you alive. Now it's time to do the opposite, to live in a way that lets your body breathe. When you look back at this whole story from a seemingly trivial burp, a heavy feeling after a meal, to restless dreams in the middle of the night, one conclusion appears simple, yet deeply difficult to accept. The body is not broken. It's simply being placed in the wrong conditions. Modern science has analyzed every hormone, every enzyme, every neural signal. But what everyday life often forgets is this biology was not created to race. It was created to be rhythmic. When that rhythm is forced to move faster than the body's ability to self-regulate, the body still tries to keep up until it no longer can. The most dangerous thing isn't pain, disorders, or insomnia. The most dangerous thing is living for a very long time in a state of not bad enough to stop. You can still work, still function, still laugh and talk. But inside, the systems responsible for recovery are slowly wearing down. Quietly. Understanding the body isn't about controlling it more tightly. Understanding the body is about stopping the constant strain placed upon it. You don't need to turn your life into a perfectly optimized healthy lifestyle project. The body doesn't need a checklist. It needs moments where it's allowed to return to its proper roles, digesting when you eat, resting when you sleep, releasing when you're tense. If there's one final reminder, it's this: treat your body like a deeply loyal companion. It doesn't complain early. It doesn't walk away, but it always remembers how you treat it. When you slow down enough to hear the small signals, something strange begins to happen. Health no longer feels like something you have to chase. It gradually returns as a natural consequence of no longer living against yourself. And perhaps that is the most sustainable form of healing that both science and everyday life agree on.